Extinction.
Max extinction. So
biodiversity loss.
Need to go from a carbon economy to a decarbonated and decoupled. I don't know if you know this concept of decoupling.
In my private life, yeah, but not actually in relation to this topic.
Just make a short. I could do it here.
Yeah.
The idea in a coupled economy, the growth economy, function this way. This is 1%, okay, and this is one time period, okay. For 1% growth, we needed 1% more resources, and we produced 1% more waste and pollution.
Yeah.
So the idea of decoupling is saying, okay, we want 1% more well-being, growth, and we have to decouple this 1% of more well-being, or meeting the needs of the present for those 4 or 5 billion who don't meet their needs, but we have to decouple it from the amount of resources that we're going to use to satisfy this well-being or needs, and completely decouple it from the impact on the environment. That's the concept of decoupling.
Okay, yep. So a decoupled economy is one which looks into reuse, circular, recycling.
It goes completely in the circular
recuperation
economy.
Yeah.
So it is producing wealth, but with a different system.
Yeah.
So we will be sustainable once that economy will be decoupled. As long as it's not decoupled and within limits, not sustainable.
Yeah.
Full point. I mean, and we could take, ACT. Going from property economy to functional economy. Functional economy, mobility. Mobility is the functional economy. I don't own the car anymore. I just use the car. 98% of the time the car will be on a parking slot, in a garage maybe. And if we have each one of us, if we individually have to manage our car, the cost for it, parking, fuel, insurance.
Enormously wasteful.
Enormous waste of time, energy, money, ecological waste, everything. If one company runs 20,000, 50,000 cars and grants it to those who are in need right here, right now, it is much more ecological, much more economical, much more rational in that way. So that's the functional economy. Going from competition to sustainable and inclusive co-petition.
Ooh, co-opetition. That's a new word. Never heard that one before.
So it's a contraction between competition and cooperation. So we could use both systems. Going from trust in progress, we should really understand that our parents' generation, who are those who are not so, that still trust the system, still think there is solution. We always found solution. Well, we could say for the last 20 years in terms of the economy, or no, we haven't. So we have to rethink and remaster what we think, what we should redefine as progress. Going from short-termism and including long-term, and that's where it's really interesting. For example, there's one proposition in France, for example, to say we need a third parliament. Not just a two bicameral system where one is proportionate to the canton or to the county, and the second one is two per county. Not just equity and equality, but we need a third. Every law which goes out of Parliament should go through a third chamber, and this chamber is going to take into the account long-term and future generations. So, discuss what you want in the two first chambers. This law is not going to pass as long as future generations are not taken into account. Creation, societal value, and prosperity and purpose. So this is what I do with my participants or students in the classical, in the classical approach management school. This is not about this.
No, but it's an interesting journey through a way of framing this knowledge which you've gathered, and also, I mean, what occurs to me is how much of this comes from different panels which have been set up to explore and research particular impacts or particular ways. There's also in this presentation quite a lot of different visuals going on, ways of trying to represent these discoveries which they've made, or the figures which they've come up with, which we talked about again here in Zurich on the conference. I remember, where we were saying, like, how do we represent these changes?
For me, there's really I have two different approaches. This is why am I teaching here? I'm teaching here because here I could reach. I have in front of me people who work either in the state or in NGOs or in business companies. I have this chance, this opportunity, this to. They're going to listen to me, and I have to convince them about this. And every year I have, I don't know, I would say at least 500 to 700 students and participants in continuous learning programs. So it's for me, it's a huge opportunity. This is okay. I'm realizing. This is where I can contribute. I have this chance, and on the other hand, if in the master's program at the CAV, it's only 10 per year, and it's a huge opportunity to completely make sort of a how should I say this? Going beyond all those pretty common and classical concepts. I have the opportunity here to go far beyond this and rethink completely the whole setting, the whole mindset, go into many directions. Would be, for example, what I've been doing last week with my students was queer ecologies, which I've been doing for the last 3 or 4 years, or eco-feminist ecologies. I could really go in many different directions, but not here. Not possible. I wouldn't be, the person who was responsible for the continuous learning program. I said it was nice, but we're not gonna.
We're not gonna book you next year.
Next year we're not gonna book you. So I understand. I try to go with those two frames. For me, this is.
I have a question in regards to the first frame before we maybe move to the mapping ecologies. It's getting loud in here. I'm hoping that this is still going to pick us up.
Yeah.
My question is, you talk about the opportunity and the fact that you're in front of people who are involved in management positions or are involved. And quite a large number, and also you're doing this in Geneva and in centres where there is a lot of business. So,
Fribourg, Neuchâtel.
And what interests me there is, like, what do you think the impact of your teaching can be? My experience of working in management training, where we were dealing with people communicating in different ways and better relations between colleagues, was that I got a sense from the people I was working with from the big companies that all this was very nice, but when they got back into the office, they were going to be asked to please the stakeholder, and therefore actually the dynamic in the team was far less important than hitting their targets. Do you feel that do you have similar questions in relation to the teaching you're doing?
Absolutely. My goals are. I have this opportunity, but my goals are modest. For me, when I'm in front of them, I realize that I have this opportunity on the higher level. On the institutional level, we always have sort of 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Meaning 1/3 come from business, 1/3 from the state, and 1/3 from NGOs. So we have a very heterogeneous audience. and participants.